off into some serious boxing. I was actually having a conversation with myself this morning. No, I'm not crazy, but sometimes I do, you know what I'm saying, confer with myself when it comes to boxing. And like this morning, I was thinking about a certain boxer, right? Looking at him in the critique sense, right? I was critiquing him. And like, I noticed that um, as opposed to when I boxed, right? I had to get to a point where I was like a ballet dancer, right? Everything that I did had to have a significant um, um, matter to it. So it was like a system, right? If I threw a punch, I had to do something that reflected one motion. The thing is motion. Everything one does in boxing, as is the case with a ballerino, right? It has to have something to do with your motion, right? Everything, your feet, your hands, has to be consistent in every single thing that you do, whether it's punching, whether it's countering, whether it's pivoting, right? It has to be a flow of consistency, right? I mean, a good boxer, right? Not to mention great, right? A good boxer has to have a level of flotation in his movement. He has to float like Muhammad Ali, for example, right? His belief system was based on floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. It all has something to do with agility, your movement, your style, right? It represents a certain artistic value, if you will, right? And I'm noticing a lot of these cats, right? So, for instance, they work in a bag or whatever the case may be, right? They don't really have um, like a follow through movement, right? Well, one punch, right, must be um, countered with a movement. You have to like I don't know. It may be a little difficult for me for you guys to understand, and I could probably show you better than I could tell you. And that's what I'm talking about. I did that this morning. I woke up and I said after I saw this box, and I said, "Damn, can I? You know, what I mean, like still replicate what I know that he needs to do." And I got up and I went through some motions. I mean, and the emotions were like, "Damn." You can still do that. And I'm 76 years old. And it was like, if I can do it, he can do it. Right. Not gonna mention any names, but I'm just saying that in boxing, if you are chasing greatness, right, you have to have a certain skill set that representing that you moving gingerly, but at the same time you moving with power and gracefulness. That's the word, gracefulness in everything you do, your movement, your punches, right? If you throw a punch, you got to gracefully move your legs the same as you would be at throwing that punch. You have to move with the punch, right, with your feet, and it has to be in sync with everything that you do. And I'm saying to you is that there is a lot of boxers that don't have that skill set, right? And we label them as great boxers. You know what I mean? Uh, one of these days, I'm going to give a presentation on what I mean at 76 years old, right? When it comes to the artistic nature of movement, right? It's about being artistic when you move, right? You throw a punch, it's got to look artful. You know what I mean? You just don't bam, throw a punch, you got bam, bam. And the movement got to be consistent with throwing that punch. Hey, when I say, um, there's a difference between good and greatness. There is. You know what I mean? A person can go in the gym, work his butt off, right, and learn how to box, right? But it's more to it than just learning how to box. You have to, again, have that artistic um, uh, persona in your movement. You know what I mean? And I say that, like I said, because I guess I think that with me as a ex boxer, right? I'm seeing a lot of these young cats, right, that don't know how to really be artful. You know what I mean? They can box, but it's not like they're graceful. That's the term, graceful, right? You have to be graceful if you're seeking to be great. You have to be grateful. Shout out to the chat. Deep, deep, deep act, Sherma. Yes, yes, I'm American. Victor Gotcher. Shout out to Victor Gotcher. No, I'm not UFC. I at one point in my career, Mr. Deepak Sharma, I fought as a middleweight, and I might add I was pretty tenacious when I boxed. And you know what I mean. And that's what I'm speaking about right now. Is that when I did box, right? Um, I had a graceful position about my ability, right? Everything was graceful. You know what I mean? Like the pivot, everything was grateful. And I'm saying when I'm trying to get over to somebody in the professional scheme of things, right? You got to do better in being graceful, right? Everything has to have a definitive explanation for why you did it. In the sport of boxing, you have to, you know, what I'm saying, in your mind, if you're throwing a punch, it has to be graceful, and you already know behind your training what you're going to do next. But it has to be graceful. That being said, look, today's chat is about Claressa Shields and Alycia Baumgardner, right? Now, has been a lot of chatter of late about basically which one's the best, who is actually the queen of boxing, right? And I took notice to a couple of cats that have podcasts, right? And they making noise about which one is the queen of boxing, right? Now I want to give you the information that I have on these particular females, right? And you make the decision, right? We speaking of none other than the quote Claressa Shields, right? Claressa Shields is two times Olympic gold medalist, right? She is undisputed in three different weight classes, right? She's undefeated, right? With I think 18 wins under her belt, right? And she's 31 years of age. Of course, as opposed to Alycia Baumgardner. Alycia Baumgardner is also 31 years of age, right? She's 17 win, one loss, 7 by knockout, right? And she's a good boxer. The accolades associated with Claressa Shields versus Alycia Baumgardner are far and in between, right? Now, how do we establish who is the queen of boxing? In my opinion, it has nothing to do with beauty as far as I'm concerned. But we're talking about boxing, right? What constitutes the best female boxer as being the queen of boxing when it comes to the sport of boxing, right? And I'm saying to you that I believe, based on um, Claressa Shields' accolades, right? And her ability to fight anybody to come into her thought process, right? That Claressa Shields should be deemed as the queen of boxing. Nothing against Alycia Shields because Alycia Shields, excuse me, Alycia Baumgardner has made a lot of strides in her professional career. In fact, she just whooped Bo Me, Bo Me, Sing, Bo Me. Hold up. Bo, see me sing, right? What was that? Saturday night, and she did outstanding. And in fact, in my opinion, that particular fight, even though it was the females, right, should be considered as the fight of the year because Alycia Baumgardner showed all the natural abilities in the ring with her opponent, right? To where she did everything necessary to whoop her opponent, right? At the and she's fighting 3 minute rounds. These are historical fights as far as Alycia Baumgardner is concerned because I believe that she's the first female and her opponent are the first ones that fight 3 minute rounds. They normally fight 2 minute rounds, right? So you know what I mean? Like in like the eighth or ninth round, she became a little winded. You know what I mean? And it's well to be expected because they're normally 2 minute rounds, right? She's into 3 minute rounds. And here's the thing: what Alicia did in the eighth and would be the eighth, maybe seventh, eighth, and 7th, 8th, and ninth round was when she got winded, she did what a professional would do. She got on her bike, right, and made it look easy and made it look delightful, pretty. And I was like, damn, damn. She represented a new era of boxing in the 3 minute round category, right? So I'm saying, like, I mean, for me, it's not easy to say Lisa Baumgardner doesn't deserve a lot of credit, but does she deserve a lot, as much credit as Claressa Shields? I just don't think so. I mean, you guys in this in the chat is my who is that? My favorite is Cain Vasquez. Who the hell is Cain Vasquez? Okay, I'm trying to be uh, a, a good commentator about going through the chat, right? Pawpaw, poo poo. It's pawpaw, ain't it? Paritas, but Brazilian boxer. Oh, okay, world champion. Now, who is that? Who the heck is that? Emerson Sales Jr. Who is that? Emerson Sales Jr. If you don't mind me asking, P- Popo Fratias, Brazilian boxer, world champion. Now, wait a minute. Now, who is that? If you don't mind me asking, I am very interested in learning who that is. Okay, and okay, and wait a minute. Oh, he was. Okay, okay. He was. Well, what I'm going to do is, once I get off the air, I'm going to look that up. How about that? Because I've not heard of him, and you say he was the world champion. That's pretty good info. I like that. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Thanks for bringing it to the table. But we still have a decision to make. And as far as I'm concerned, I made my decision. I believe that Clarissa Shields, that growth, right, deserves to be considered as the queen of boxing. Now, there's a lot of podcasts out there that are saying otherwise, in the sense that Lisa Baumgardner should be the queen of boxing. Look, Clarissa Shields, again, is more accomplished. Now, we're not going to look at beauty because both of them are good looking chicks, right? But I think based on their boxing background, their pedigree, right, that in this case, Clarissa Shields should be considered as the queen of boxing. Now, will we be talking about the cash cow and the face of women's boxing? Sure, we will. But today we talk about the queen of boxing, right? And again, since you guys don't want to in the chat don't want to weigh in on this, I'm going to take it upon myself to be the bigger guy, and uh, crown Carissa Shield the GOAT as the queen of boxing. Okay, so look, man, um, is going to be some more boxing today, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I was off for the last 2 days doing some work around the house, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But I need to get more actively involved because a lot of people are um, pushing for me to just roll over and just stop, right? You know what I mean? But that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep on until I get to where I need to be. I got to get again. I'll probably that's on the 14th. I'm going to California, right? And I should be gone for like 2 weeks. But that doesn't stop what I do, right? And I'm going to start getting my butt in more into these gyms, right? And do some transmitting of some of these young talents that we know nothing about. As a matter of fact, since we on that subject, or I'm on that subject, right? I think I'm gonna do a podcast on who's the best promoters, right? Because I'm learning that even Zephyr, right, which is a new entity in the sport of boxing when it comes to promotions, right, are doing an outstanding job in looking for and bringing on young, new, crisp talent. You know what I mean? I mean, it was one thing to see Tony Harrison totally obliterate Robert Merriweather, right? But following that, I saw most valuable promotion do the same damn thing with young talent, right? So my thing is this: which one of these promoters actually have the um, better line of boxers or fighters? Do we ever contemplate that? I mean, I know that I think about stuff like that a lot. That's all I do is think boxing. You know, so what I'm saying is I have to go through the rigors, right? The 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 the, the hard work and find out which one of these promotion companies have the best fighters, right? And I want to do that. I want to make that a podcast. I want to make that a day of boxing, right? For the people, right? My thing is to better apprise those that really love. I ain't talking about the casuals, right? I mean, nothing personal, but I'm talking about the people that love the sport of boxing. It is my ambitions, right, to pursue trying to facilitate the things that they will be interested in, as is the case with the casuals as well, right? But and hopefully this will be a learning experience for them, right? But I'm gonna step it up a little more. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be more about the business of boxing. That being said, hit the subscription button, hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, and give me your opinion on who do you think the queen of boxing should be, Claressa Shields or Alycia Baumgardner, the bomb. That being said, I gotta go. I think I'm not staying on